I used to believe family was supposed to protect you, have your back, love you even when you're not perfect. But the night my parents cut my hair while I slept, I learned the hard way that sometimes the people closest to you can be your biggest haters. And yeah, this isn't clickbait. This actually happened. Let me rewind for a second. Growing up, I was always the pretty one. Not my words, theirs. Neighbors said it. Relatives whispered it. Teachers noticed it. I never asked for that label, but it stuck to me like glue. My sister, on the other hand, was always the smart one. Straight A's. Honor roll. Perfect resume. The golden academic child. And look, I was proud of her. Dead serious. I cheered her on every time she passed an exam or won an award. But somehow, somewhere along the line, my parents turned it into a competition I never signed up for. My sister was graduating college. Big deal. Huge deal. The whole family was flying in. Photos, speeches, fancy dinner reservations, the works. My mom kept saying, "This is her moment. Don't make it about you." At first, I didn't think anything of it. Until the comments started. Maybe don't wear makeup that day. Try not to dress too flashy. You don't want to steal attention from your sister. Steal attention. I was literally just existing. Then came the weird one. My mom kept staring at my hair. Long, thick, wavy. I'd been growing it out for years. It was kind of my thing. I took care of it, styled it, loved it. It made me feel confident in a house where confidence wasn't exactly encouraged. One night, right before the graduation, my mom said, "You should really consider cutting it. It's distracting." I laughed. Thought she was joking. She wasn't. Calm. Respectful. Firm. And that should have been the end of it. But nah. This story doesn't end with boundaries being respected. That night, I went to bed like usual. Door locked. Lights off. Phone charging. I was exhausted from packing and emotionally drained from walking on eggshells all week. Sometime in the middle of the night, I felt something tug my head. I thought I was dreaming. Then I heard a snip. Another snip. My heart dropped into my stomach. I shot up so fast I almost fell off the bed. My mom was standing there, scissors in hand. My dad right behind her. And chunks of my hair were on the floor. I screamed. Not like a dramatic scream, a real one. The kind that comes from shock, betrayal, and pure disbelief. My mom said, dead serious, "We're just helping you. You'll look less pretty at the ceremony now." That sentence changed how I saw my family forever. I ran to the mirror. My hair was uneven, chopped, ruined. I cried until my chest hurt. But here's the thing they didn't expect. I wasn't about to just take it. Because that graduation? Yeah. That was only the beginning. I didn't sleep for the rest of the night. I just sat on my bed, staring at the floor where pieces of my hair were still scattered like evidence from a crime scene. Every time I blinked, I could hear that snip-snip, replaying in my head like a broken record. By morning, my eyes were swollen, my throat hurt from crying, and my trust in my parents completely shattered. When I finally walked into the kitchen, my mom was acting like it was just another Tuesday. Coffee brewing, toast popping, calm as hell. My dad didn't even look guilty. He just glanced up from his phone and said, "Morning." That was it. No apology. No explanation. I lost it. I asked them why. Like, really, why? What kind of parents sneak into their kids' room at night and cut their hair like some messed up control move? My mom sighed like I was the problem. She said, "You don't understand. Your sister worked too hard for this day. We didn't want people focusing on you instead of her." That hit harder than the scissors. Instead of defending me, instead of acknowledging how violating that was, they doubled down. My dad even said, "It's just hair. It'll grow back. Just hair. You don't get to decide what parts of someone's identity matter, and which don't." I stormed out of the kitchen and locked myself in the bathroom. That's when I really saw the damage. The cut wasn't just bad, it was humiliating. One side shorter than the other. Jagged ends. No way to style it without looking ridiculous. I felt ugly. Exposed. Small. And that's when the anger kicked in. Not the screaming kind. The quiet, dangerous kind. I realized something sitting there on the cold bathroom floor. They weren't scared I'd steal attention. They were scared I'd exist confidently. They wanted me smaller, quieter, less noticeable. And I was done playing that role. The graduation ceremony was in 2 days. I could have skipped it. Packed a bag, disappeared. Honestly, I thought about it. But then I looked at myself in the mirror again. And something snapped. If they wanted to control how I looked so badly, fine. But they had no idea what was coming. That afternoon, while my parents were out running errands for my sister's big celebration, I grabbed my laptop and started planning. Not revenge like yelling or crying or making a scene. No, this was going to be calculated. First, I booked an emergency appointment at the best salon in town. The kind that specializes in hair disasters. I didn't even care about the price. I used my savings. Every dollar felt worth it. Then I did something else. I started documenting everything. Photos of the uneven cut. Videos explaining what happened. Dates, times. Exact words they used. Because one thing I'd learned the hard way. People love to twist stories when the truth makes them look bad. And I wasn't about to let that happen. By the time my parents came home that evening, I was calm, too calm. My mom noticed immediately and said, "Why are you smiling?" I didn't answer. Because in my head, the plan was already in motion. And by the time graduation day arrived, they were going to wish they'd never touched my hair. The salon smelled like expensive shampoo and quiet confidence. You know, the kind of place where the mirrors don't judge you. And the stylists actually listen? Yeah. That place. The moment I sat down and told the stylist what happened, her face changed. Not shock, anger. The kind you feel when someone crosses a line they had no business crossing. She ran her fingers through my chopped hair, shaking her head. "Did this," she said. "Had no right." I almost cried again, but this time, it wasn't from pain. It was relief. Someone finally saw me. For the next 3 hours she worked magic. She didn't just fix my hair. She transformed it. She turned the uneven mess into a sharp, stylish cut that framed my face in a whole new way. Bold, confident, grown. It wasn't the long hair I lost. It was something better. When she spun the chair toward the mirror, I barely recognized myself. I looked powerful. Not prettier, not softer. Stronger. I tipped her like crazy. And walked out feeling like a completely different person. That's when the second part of my plan kicked in. Because I didn't just want to look good at the graduation. I wanted the truth to show up too. That night, I posted a short video online. Nothing dramatic. Just calm, clear, and honest. I said, "My parents cut my hair while I slept because they didn't want me to look too pretty. At my sister's graduation, I didn't consent. I didn't know. This is what it looked like before. And this is after." I showed the photos. I showed the receipts. Then I logged off. I wasn't chasing clout. I wasn't begging for sympathy. I just refused to be silent. By the next morning, my phone was blowing up. Messages from friends, old classmates, even relatives I barely talked to. Some were furious. Some were shocked. A few asked if it was fake. It wasn't. And the comments, they were not kind to my parents. My mom noticed the change before she saw the video. She kept staring at my hair, squinting like she was trying to figure out how she lost control. "What did you do?" she asked. I smiled and said, "I fixed it." She didn't like that answer. Later that night, she confronted me with her phone in hand, my video pulled up on the screen. Her voice was shaking. "Why would you embarrass us like this?" "Embarrass them?" I laughed, not loud, just enough to make my point. "You embarrassed yourselves," I said. "I just told the truth." She tried to guilt trip me. Said I was ruining my sister's big moment. Said I was selfish. Said I should delete it. I didn't. Because here's the thing they still didn't understand. This wasn't about hair anymore. This was about control. Boundaries. And consequences. And graduation day. Oh, graduation day was about to expose everything. Graduation day arrived way faster than I expected. The house was buzzing with fake smiles and forced excitement. My mom was running around like a stage manager. My dad kept checking his watch. My sister was floating on that proud, nervous energy only a big milestone brings in me. I was calm. Too calm. I got dressed slowly. Simple outfit. Clean lines. Nothing flashy, but nothing small either. My new haircut. Styled just enough to say I know who I am now. When I stepped out of my room, the energy shifted. My dad blinked like his brain needed a second to catch up. And my sister, she just stared. Not angry. Not jealous. Confused. You look different, my mom finally said. I nodded. Yeah, I feel different too. The car ride to the ceremony was dead silent. No music, no small talk. Just tension thick enough to choke on. I caught my parents stealing glances at me, probably wondering how things slipped out of their control so fast. They didn't know yet, but they were about to. At the graduation venue, people started recognizing me. Friends from high school. Old neighbors. Distant relatives. A few even whispered, "Hey, you're the girl from that video, right?" My mom's face went pale. That's when it hit her the truth didn't stay online. It followed us offline too. During the ceremony, I clapped for my sister louder than anyone. Stood up when her name was called. Smiled genuinely, because none of this was ever about hurting her. And that's what made the next part hurt my parents even more. After the ceremony, people gathered around us. Congrats, hugs, photos. Then one aunt, never the subtle type, looked straight at my mom and said, "So is it true you cut her hair while she was sleeping?" Boom, dead silence. My mom tried to laugh it off. Said it was a misunderstanding. Said I was being dramatic. I calmly pulled out my phone and showed the photos, the raw ones. Cut, the timestamps. The proof, no yelling, no scene, just facts. People started murmuring. Side eyes everywhere. My dad suddenly found the ground very interesting. That's when my sister spoke up. And trust me, I did not see this coming. She said, "You did what to her?" Her voice cracked. She looked at my parents like she was seeing them for the first time. Not as authority figures. Not as heroes, but as flawed humans who crossed a line. "I never asked you to do that," she said. "You didn't do this for me." My mom tried to interrupt. My sister didn't let her. "You did this because you're obsessed with control," she said. "And now you've ruined my graduation anyway." That one sentence. It hurt them more than anything I could have said. The rest of the day was awkward. Quiet, but inside me, I felt free. Because for the first time, I wasn't the quiet one anymore. And this story, it was far from over. You know how people say, the internet never forgets. Well, my parents were about to learn that the hard way. After graduation, I didn't stop at just showing proof to family at the ceremony. No. I posted a follow-up story online. A video explaining everything in a calm, no-nonsense tone. Not yelling, not crying. Just facts, receipts, and the transformation of my hair. Within hours, my phone was blowing up. Texts, DMs, friend requests, even strangers commenting with support. Some people called me brave. Others said, "I can't believe this actually happened to you." And then, it hit my parents. I could see it in their faces when my notifications kept popping off. My dad kept glancing over, trying to swipe it away, while my mom kept muttering, delete it. You can't post that." I didn't, because truth has a way of standing tall, even when people want to bury it. By that night, my post went semi-viral in our city. News outlets reached out, not for gossip, but to highlight stories of family dynamics and control. People shared my story, not to shame me, but because they resonated with it. You could feel the shift. People started reaching out to me, sharing their own parents who crossed the line stories. And my parents, they were mortified. A few of my relatives, ones who never spoke up before, texted them privately, asking, "Why would you do that?" Even my sister started sending me little texts like, "You did the right thing." She knew my parents crossed a boundary. And even though it was her day, she couldn't ignore it. I remember looking at my phone that night and thinking, this is revenge, but it's smart. It's not me yelling or making a scene. It's truth, and truth hits harder than any temper tantrum could. Then came the comments that really made my parents sweat. People were analyzing every photo, every post. They started receiving messages themselves, from distant relatives, neighbors, friends of friends. Basically saying, "That's messed up. Hope you understand what you did." By this point, my parents were in full panic mode. They kept whispering, "We need to fix this before it blows up more." I just laughed quietly. I wasn't doing anything. The story was telling itself. My glow-up hair, the documentation, the honesty, it spoke louder than anything I could say. And the craziest part, I felt no guilt. Zero. Because this wasn't revenge in the mean-spirited way. It was accountability. They made a choice. One that crossed a line. And now they were facing the consequences. Meanwhile, I got messages from people saying, "Thank you for showing us that it's okay to stand up to controlling parents." Some said it gave them courage to speak up themselves. I realized then that revenge doesn't have to be about hurting someone. Sometimes, the smartest revenge is standing up, showing your worth, and letting the world witness the truth. And as my notifications kept blowing up, I knew something big was coming. Graduation day might have ended, but the fallout. That was just beginning. The morning after the social media storm, the house felt different. You could cut the tension with a knife. My parents weren't speaking to me. Not really. Every time I walked past them, it was like walking through a minefield. And honestly, I didn't care. The thing about betrayal is it changes you. And the thing about revenge. The best kind doesn't need yelling or tears, it's quiet power. I made breakfast quietly, sipping my coffee while watching my parents fume over their phones. Every notification on my post was like fuel. And I knew they could feel it. At one point, my mom snapped. She threw her phone down and said, "You've embarrassed this family. How could you?" I looked her straight in the eyes and said, calmly, "No. You embarrassed yourself. I just showed the truth." Her face went pale. That's when the shift hit. My dad tried to defend her, muttering something about, "It was just a joke, we meant well." But the damage was done. It wasn't about hair anymore. It was about control, boundaries, and respect. My sister, surprisingly, came to me later that morning. She didn't hug me. She didn't even smile fully. But she said something that hit harder than any clapback could. You're brave." I never knew I could see mom and dad like that. I nodded. I didn't say much. Sometimes words aren't necessary. Sometimes the proof in the pictures, the posts, the glow up says enough. The next few days were weird. Relatives started texting my parents, asking if everything was okay. They didn't know how to answer without exposing themselves further. Every phone call was tense. Every interaction was awkward. Meanwhile, I felt lighter. Free. I wasn't walking on eggshells anymore. I wasn't apologizing for existing. And that's when I realized, revenge isn't about destruction. It's about reclaiming your power. I started seeing it in little ways. My mom avoided eye contact. My dad hesitated before speaking. Even my sister treated me differently, not with fear, but with respect. I could finally breathe in my own house, without feeling like I had to shrink myself. And then, something funny happened. People at school, at work, everywhere started noticing me differently too. Not because of my hair, not because of the posts, but because of the confidence that came after reclaiming control. That's when I knew my parents' plan had completely backfired. They wanted me small, quiet, invisible. Instead, I became unignorably, and the cherry on top. Every time they looked at me now, there was a flash of fear like, "Oh no, she's unstoppable." I didn't have to say a word. I didn't have to retaliate physically. The truth? My story. My strength. That was enough. But little did they know, the next move in my plan was still coming. Because I wasn't done. And when it happened, it wasn't just about me anymore, it was about showing them that messing with someone's self-worth comes with real consequences. By now, my parents were tense. Every little thing I did seemed to set them off. But here's the thing, they still had no idea how far I was willing to take this. I wasn't angry anymore. I was strategic, calm, calculated. And that made me dangerous. After the graduation fallout, I decided it was time to take control in front of everyone. My parents had publicly tried to shame me, controlling my appearance and my confidence, thinking they could silence me. But silence was never an option. So I started planning. Not revenge that hurt physically or destroyed property. No, this was smart revenge, the kind that sticks, the kind people remember. First, I made sure my presence was noticed. At every family gathering, every relative dinner, hello, I stepped in with confidence. Bold makeup, my hair perfectly styled, outfit on point. My parents would glance at me, probably thinking, "She's trying to show off." But it wasn't showing off, it was claiming space they tried to steal from me. Then I added the social media angle. I posted small updates, little victories. Nothing petty, just subtle reminders that I was thriving, unbothered, unstoppable. Photos with friends, selfies showing my glow up, little captions about self-love and boundaries. Each one hit like a quiet slap to my parents' ego. The best part. People noticed. My followers grew. Strangers reached out. Compliments poured in. Everyone wanted to know my story. And in every comment, every DM, my parents could see it. That shock of influence, that's the part that hurt them the most. And then came the school reunion. Big family event. They thought I'd shrink, hide in the corner, embarrassment linger. Wrong. I walked in. Hair styled, outfit flawless, confidence radiating like a damn sun. People whispered, yes, but this time in awe. Not gossip. Respect. Every glance at me was a reminder of the power they tried to snatch away. My parents. Mortified. You could see the panic in their eyes. My mom tried to pull me aside, whispering about how I was making her look bad. I stopped. Looked her dead in the eyes. Mom, I said calmly, I'm not here to make you look bad. I'm here to live my life. The rest is on you. The room went quiet. Even my dad stopped muttering. I realized something in that moment. Revenge isn't about anger. It's about exposing truths. It's about standing tall when others try to cut you down. And let me tell you, the look on their faces. Priceless. That's when I truly understood the power of reclaiming your story. Not with screams. Not with yelling. But with poise, strategy, and undeniable confidence. By the end of that night, I wasn't just the girl with the chopped hair. I was the one who couldn't be controlled. And in their eyes, that realization was more painful than any hair disaster could ever be. Little did they know, the ultimate move was still coming. The graduation party was supposed to be a celebration for my sister. Big cake, balloons, photos, the whole works. My parents were in their element. Smiles, pats on the back, the fake pride that only adults can wear when they think everything's under control. But I had other plans. I wasn't there to ruin my sister's day. I was there to make sure the truth was seen and felt. As soon as I walked in, all eyes turned toward me. Not because I was loud. Not because I was trying to be noticed. But because I owned the room. My hair looked perfect. Outfit sharp. Confidence radiating. People were smiling at me. Compliments flew my way. And my parents. You could literally see the panic creeping in. I started talking to family, friends, people who had known me since childhood. I casually mentioned, a couple days before graduation, someone tried to control how I looked. But I fixed it. Eyes widened. Whispers spread. My parents tried to cut me off, but it was too late. Then came the real kicker. I pulled out my phone. Not aggressively, not to shout, but to show my latest post. A recap of the night my hair was cut, the glow up, the aftermath, and the response I got online. The room went silent. People I barely knew were shaking their heads in disbelief. Aunts whispered, cousins gasped, and even some of my parents' friends were glaring at them like, seriously? My mom's face turned red, my dad's jaw clenched so tight I thought it might crack. And my sister, she looked at me differently. Not jealous, not angry, but like she finally understood. You did what? She whispered later, leaning toward me. I told the truth. I said softly. They wanted me small, invisible. I just refused. She smiled a small, genuine smile. And for a second, I realized something. Revenge doesn't have to hurt anyone physically. Sometimes, the truth itself is enough. Then came the part that made it legendary. My parents tried to pivot, trying to control the narrative, saying, it was just a misunderstanding. I looked at them calmly. No, it wasn't. And everyone here can see that. The room murmured in agreement. Some nodded, some gasped. And my parents? Frozen. I felt unstoppable. Not because I won, but because I finally owned my story. I didn't have to shout or fight. I didn't have to cry. The proof, the confidence, and the community of people who believed me did all the work. By the end of the night, I wasn't just my sister's sibling. I wasn't just the girl with the cut hair. I was the one who stood up, reclaimed her power, and showed everyone that nobody, not even your parents, can decide your worth. And in that moment, the look on their faces told me everything. They underestimated me. They tried to cut me down. And now everyone knew the truth. But the story isn't fully over yet because sometimes the sweetest part of revenge is what comes after the dust settles. The days after the graduation party were surreal. My parents were quieter. Every glance they gave me carried that mix of guilt, disbelief, and respect. Yeah, respect. They couldn't admit it out loud, but deep down, they knew I had claimed my power in a way they hadn't expected. My sister, surprisingly, became one of my biggest allies. She started texting me more, asking advice, even jokingly telling me, "Don't let mom and dad cut your hair again." That was our little inside joke. Now a reminder of what we'd survived together. I, on the other hand, started noticing how differently people treated me. Not just friends or distant relatives, but strangers online who had followed the story. Messages came in from girls who had been through similar control issues. They thanked me. Said I gave them courage to stand up for themselves. That's when it hit me the real victory wasn't about embarrassing my parents. It wasn't about revenge in the petty sense. The real win was taking back my story, my confidence, and my voice. My parents tried to pivot, tried to regain control. "We just wanted to protect your sister's moment," my mom muttered one morning. I looked at her and smiled. Not smug, just calm. "Protecting someone doesn't mean destroying someone else," I said. It was quiet, but it was a lesson they couldn't ignore. I also realized how much strength I had gained. That night they cut my hair. I could have crumbled. I could have let them define me. But I didn't. Instead, I turned the pain into strategy. Every step I took after that, the salon, the posts, the subtle public presence, was about reclaiming power without being reckless. And that's the takeaway. I want everyone watching this story to get: control your narrative. Don't let anyone dictate your worth. Document and stand firm. Proof and calm honesty speak louder than anger. Confidence is the best revenge. When people try to diminish you, your strength becomes their accountability. By the time life settled into a new rhythm, I felt untouchable. Not because I wanted to hurt my parents, but because I had learned how to protect myself, speak up, and rise above manipulation. And here's the ironic part: they thought cutting my hair would make me less pretty, less noticeable. But in reality, it made me unforgettable. Every glance, every comment, every whisper in that family now reminded them I'm not someone to control. I'm not someone to belittle. I'm my own person. And if there's one thing I learned through all this, it's that revenge isn't always loud or messy. Sometimes it's quiet, smart, and unstoppable. By the end of the story, I wasn't just the girl who had her hair cut while asleep. I was the girl who turned betrayal into power, humiliation into confidence, and a cruel act into her ultimate victory. By the time the dust settled, life had shifted in a way I never expected. My parents, still flawed, still controlling at times, but now, I could see them clearly. Their actions no longer held power over me. Their attempt to cut me down physically had backfired spectacularly. I was stronger, wiser, unstoppable. The story of my hair, the graduation, the viral posts, all of it became a turning point. I realized that revenge isn't about rage. It's about taking control of your own narrative. It's about showing people that they can't define your worth or dictate how you show up in the world. My sister, surprisingly, became my biggest ally. After all the chaos, she admitted privately, I didn't realize how much they controlled everything around me too. You taught me it's okay to stand up. That moment felt bigger than any viral post or public validation. It was about family, boundaries, and growth. And me. I felt lighter than I had in years. No more walking on eggshells. No more hiding. No more shrinking to make anyone else comfortable. The haircut that was supposed to humiliate me became the catalyst for my glow up. Inside and out. Social media kept buzzing, and yes, people still followed my story. Some asking for advice, others sharing similar experiences. But the biggest victory wasn't the likes or the views. It was knowing I had protected myself, respect, shown courage, and inspired others. I even started reaching out to other people who had been controlled or silenced by family, offering tips, advice, or just a listening ear. I realized revenge doesn't have to be petty. Sometimes it's about lifting yourself up and helping others rise with you. Looking back, I can honestly say that night when my parents snuck in and cut my hair was a turning point. It could have broken me. But instead, it made me unshakable. Every snip, every betrayal, every moment of fear and humiliation fueled the transformation I didn't even know I was capable of. Now, when I look in the mirror, I don't just see hair fixed perfectly by the salon. I see strength, resilience, and power. I see someone who refused to be silenced, someone who turned betrayal into triumph, and someone who owns her story fully. And here's the ultimate lesson. Never let anyone control your identity. Stand up calmly, strategically, and unapologetically. True revenge isn't about hurting others, it's about becoming unstoppable and unshakable. That's what happened. That's the story of the night my parents cut my hair while I slept, the graduation day drama, and the revenge I took not with anger, but with power, truth, and confidence. So if you've ever felt controlled, belittled, or silenced, remember this: the best revenge isn't loud. It's smart, it's bold. It's you rising above, shining brighter than anyone thought possible. Because in the end, nobody can cut your light, not even the people who are supposed to love you the most. And that, my friend, is how I turned betrayal into my ultimate victory.